Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. My name is Allan and Zoe, and we're here today to talk about the Challenge Battle of the Eras, Episode 8. I'm joined by my lovely Vermontian co-host, Zoe Trimboli.
Hi, everyone.
Luke is not with us, which is why I'm stumbling. It's why I messed up this intro 3 times before we even started. You guys aren't going to see it, but oh my gosh. We're a bit of a mess. But episode 8 of the challenge is here. We got a Gladiator themed, literally sponsored daily challenge. We got a lot of high level gameplay. An elimination that didn't suck this week. I mean, I'm not going to say it was the best elimination ever, but compared to the past few weeks, big improvement.
And honestly, it brought me back to a little bit of like the fly swatter elimination that you mentioned in your blog this week. Because blindfolds and people hitting each other, it's adjacent. I thought it was entertaining. There was a lot of parts that made me laugh. Very male heavy episode. A lot of the men were providing a lot of the drama this episode, which is not common. But I thought it was a good episode overall.
Yeah, and I think if you really like the strategic gameplay of the show, was your episode, because we saw people really, play the game in like an active way. Where we saw at the beginning of the episode, Derrick, last guy on Era 1, he goes up to Theo. He's like, hey, that whole Derrick Averey thing. Obviously, Era 2 and Era 3 are going to be working together. Era 4, Era 1, let's look out for each other. And good. I mean, that's smart gameplay. That makes sense. I'm glad we're seeing them actually play a proactive game.
Yeah. I mean, I think Theo's got like a good ego on him. So the fact that nobody like was really approaching him to strike up a deal in the first place was probably bothering him a little bit. So even more so than it being like good strategic gameplay for him, I think he just wanted to stick it to the people who weren't trying to work with him.
Yeah, Theo is kind of in that same position as Jenny, except not really in the same position, because Jenny's getting nominated every week. But they are people who, they did 2 seasons in the middle era of the show, like 30s, and then they didn't do any seasons again after that. Oh, he did World Championships. But Theo is not the most well-connected guy in the house. And because of that, he's just not the most well-insulated, especially if this game becomes individual. So a deal like this makes sense a lot for him. It's just interesting to see that like Era 4 has really kind of like coasted through this game, but now Era 3 and 2 are kind of turning against them.
Well, I think they're seeing them for the threat that they are. Like, you look at guys like Theo, who can run long distances, and he's only like bigger and stronger now. He should be scary to a lot of these guys. And Kyland is like thirsty and has a lot to prove and like just loves this game. Josh is there too. But I think they're also proving to be a really formidable team. Like, even when they're not really getting along, they're finding ways to win. So yeah, I think I think there's something about like the egos of eras 2 and 3 that they would rather lose to each other than lose to one of the new guys.
Exactly. And I laughed a bit when you mentioned Josh, but Josh is as an individual player, Josh has his flaws. In a team format, Josh is like 6'2", 200-foot build with like a nonstop motor. That's an asset to your team.
Totally. And I would say out of a lot of the guys, his ego is less when it comes to like competition. He's totally willing to take a backseat and just be told what to do, which I think is a huge asset on these teams.
Absolutely. So we see that gameplay going on. We have the Derrick and Averey connection that everyone's making. We also see, as we're talking about like teams crumbling within, Ryan decides to move out of the Era 2 bedroom, which I feel like probably should have happened weeks ago after like many people were probably moving out.
Yeah, I'm wondering if like production told him he couldn't at some point, or like he was just waiting for there to be enough room in some of these other spaces. Like maybe he just didn't want to move in with Era 1 while all those guys were still there. But Bananas reverts to being like a 15-year-old high school jock idiot. And that was that.
It is interesting to see how much Bananas is vocally against Ryan. just because you would think that Bananas would pay him kind of no bother at all.
I think that's what bothers me about it. Like, you can go on in a confessional for 15 minutes about all the things you've done on the challenge. Great editing, by the way. Phenomenal editing. But like Ryan not liking you is really getting a rise out of you. Like, it's just strange to me.
Meanwhile, I mean, we talked about this in the previous weeks, like how Ryan has had all these confessionals about Laurel over and over again. Well, she's really paid him no mind when it comes to the confessionals. And finally, we got to see it this week. And Laurel kind of just brushed it off mostly. She's like, oh, I'm not really a person who likes to throw away friendships. And I don't, it was very interesting to see because I don't fully believe that. I mean, I feel like Laurel is someone who's known to just casually throw away friendships or, shit on friendships or, but it very much felt like she was trying to underplay Ryan and his feelings of this whole thing and not try to make it a bigger deal.
Well, I think it validates Ryan's experience of like she's in the wrong, because I think if she really didn't think she did anything wrong, she'd be more upset about it. Like, she's an emotional person. Like, she would have a big emotional reaction. So I'm guessing that his version of events is closer to the truth of why their friendship has fallen apart. And so I think she's just trying not to like poke the bear. That's my read on it.
Just that moment when she said, like, I'm not a person to throw away friendships, I always just think of Free Agents when she was cheering for Jessica McCain in that elimination against Cara. When her and Cara were so close coming into the game.
She's just petty and crazy and inconsistent.
Moving to the daily challenge now?
Yeah.
The daily challenge was Gladiator themed. And literally, because we have Gladiator 2 coming out. So we even saw before the daily challenge, they showed us a little clip of Derrick and the Riot Shield challenge from Cutthroat. It was a great little flashback. It's a daily challenge that people love because it's super physical. The whole point of it is just knock the other people off the platform in the allotted time. I think this daily challenge had a lot of potential. I also love it when we do these like sponsor type events because it really is a kind of a time capsule type thing where we get to look back on it for fun. What do you think about the daily challenge? Just like the general idea of it and
I love it. I mean, I love a good physical daily challenge, headbanger, people down in the mud, shoving each other around. I think the concept is great. I think the one thing I would have tweaked about it, rather than have it be a 20-minute limit with the most people left at the end and whoever has the most teammates left wins, is cumulative time that they were in, because I think it would have made them go a lot harder and try and actually get people out. Like, at certain points, they were just like trying to preserve people rather than trying to actually get other people out. Yeah, so I think cumulative time would have been a better marker of who won.
Yeah, I think it would have been better just to have a smaller platform too, because they had such a big platform that people were just able to like get hit multiple times, just go to the ground and then get back up. If they had a smaller platform, and so that way we just have more people getting eliminated, so there is just one person left standing, that would have been way cooler. It's just it's much less fulfilling when you just see 10 people on the board and it's like, all right, time's up.
Yeah, I honestly thought the girls' heat was so underwhelming. I was like throwing tomatoes at the screen by the time it was done because they were just not doing anything. And I get it. I mean, if you're the era 4 women, why do anything? Just your job is just to stay alive. And yeah, the platform being as big as it was, it just didn't force them to do much. But again, the premise is great. Bring back this challenge and just tweak it and make it a little bit better.
I just also love when we have the movie tie-ins, but we never get to actually see if the people actually go to the premiere. When Spies, Lies, and Alice was going on, they had the Top Gun Maverick one.
Yes.
And I wanna bring that up because when I don't know, were you on our podcast when Spies, Lies, and Alice was going?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay, so when we podcast about it, I complained that we didn't get any A-list stars, that we didn't get Tom Cruise, that we didn't get Miles Teller, that we didn't get Jennifer Connelly. And Glenn Powell is one of the people we got. And now Glenn Powell is like literally like he's the biggest star of the summer.
Yeah.
Twisters. I mean, Glenn Powell's Glenn Powell now. So he's
more well known than Miles Teller at this point.
Oh, for sure. I mean, my comments there aged like milk so fast, and I'm happy. I like Glenn Powell a lot. Great actor. I'm hearing good things about Gladiator too. I hear it's gonna be a good movie. So I'm excited for that. Daily challenge thoughts though. Men's Heat. Era 2 took a beating. Bananas was one of the first guys out. And then Ryan took hit after hit. I mean, Ryan really should have just stayed out of people's business, but he kept trying to like make a point and trying to hit people, and which is getting whacked back.
Yeah, I honestly, Bananas being the first one out was such poetic justice and awesome for the haters like me. I was impressed that Ryan lasted as long as he did, especially with like, I just think about how big those Era 4 men are, like, and he could have been playing a lot wimpier and more like defensive, and I think he exceeded my expectations. And he took someone out with him when he went out, right? I feel like he did. I feel like someone tumbled out with him.
I remember there was a moment where Nehemiah took out 2 people at once, basically. And he might have been one of those, or like someone took out Ryan and then Nehemiah maybe took out the person who took him out.
Something like that.
Yeah. Among all these people, I will say the person that I was impressed the most by in this daily challenge was Cory.
Yeah. Cory was impressive. I was impressed with Theo, and I also thought when he got called out, it was bullshit. It didn't feel fair to me at all. Because I know TJ called him out for his shield being on the ground, but like his feet were up, like he wasn't on his knees, like he literally just shield on the ground and was like bracing himself. I was like, someone should be able to come over and knock him over. I understand you can't lay down, right? But like he was on his feet.
Yeah, Theo was getting dogpiled by 6. He's definitely the other most impressive person in this daily challenge because he was just the biggest guy on the field. So everyone is like, we're gonna go all after the big guy. Cory, I thought was just putting out the most impressive hits and just again and again, where I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's just like he's ready to scrap with anyone, and
he wanted to play.
Yeah, I Derrick said, oh, you couldn't finish the job, oh, whatever. And I think Cory is right when he said like he was taking it easy on it because we saw, I mean, Cory was bludgeoning Josh at one point. He was taking Theo one-on-one before everyone dogpiled him, and it was actually like a very good scrap. There's also the moment in this daily challenge where Devin tries to broker a deal with Era 4, asking them to throw the daily challenge. But as he's saying this, there's like 3 Era 4 guys there left, and then just Cory and Devin. And no offense, Devin, you're not the biggest physical powerhouse. So why do they have to throw it to you?
Yeah, why? And I was glad they didn't take the bait in this moment because I'm like, no, you're winning. And you have the most girls and the strongest girls in the next round. So like, no, don't take it. But it was, the men's part of this challenge was really compelling to watch. The fact that once Cory got the answer he didn't want, he just like charged Theo, who was just chilling.
That was such a brilliant move too, of just like Cory's cutthroatness, where it's like, he really is like built different now, where like Cory 5 years ago wouldn't have had that like instinct to do in that moment. And I think he's just grown a lot as a competitor, where he doesn't play. I mean, he makes a lot of dumb moves still, but I think he's smarter in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, he wants to win.
Yeah, Women's Heat goes, and I think a couple of the big takeaways are that Laurel didn't throw the daily challenge.
Yeah, she also didn't try that hard.
Nobody was trying that hard though, too. I think
Yeah, that's fair. It was really boring to watch.
Nia tried hard for a second and immediately ran herself out of the ring.
Was it Casey that flipped her?
I watched it back, and Casey, like, she actually almost got Casey out herself, and then she just fell out. And I was like, because Casey was like, oh, I play women's football, I'm hyped for this is my game. and then Casey was kind of getting hit, and then I just ran out. It wasn't really even a full deflect.
Yeah, I thought Casey was just being careless and didn't realize where she was in regards to like the edge. And then Nia saw it as an opportunity, but Casey's just so much more athletic than Nia. And while she did get a hit on her, you have to like Casey's strong and agile and athletic. And this is the second time this season where I feel like watching Nia's footwork, I'm like, you have no agility at all.
How did she play college volleyball? Like how
Where did she go?
Howard?
Yeah, so I don't know anything about their volleyball program or any volleyball program for that matter. So she's tall.
She's tall. Yeah, she is tall. There was an interesting moment between Cara and Tori where they went head to head, and Tori was getting the better of Cara, and Cara in her confession was like, "Lord will come help" type moment, which I think is you can love Cara, she's great. Not a great look for her to be like, "Hey, Lord, come help me," because Tori's kind of bullying me here, and Tori is bigger than Cara, but still, like it's, you'd love to see her go toe to toe the same way that Cory and like Theo were going toe to toe.
Yeah, I think it's just a reminder that no matter how buff Cara gets, she's still tiny.
Yeah.
Like, no, I thought I expected actually Cara to do better against Tori, and maybe I wasn't giving Tori enough credit there.
Tori did great. I mean,
yeah.
I really wish we could have seen like a whole 1v1 tournament of like this type of daily challenge on like a small platform. That would be really fun.
Yeah. Kind of like the All-Stars final.
That was, yeah. Now, Era 4 gets the win. Era 1 comes in last place because they only had 2 people and Derrick got knocked off, which again I think points out a flaw in this daily challenge where maybe it should have been percentage of people you had.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe because just the fact that one person gets knocked out. I mean, even if you both stayed on the entire daily challenge, you probably weren't going to win because you only had 2 people left on, or the least amount. It wasn't fair to them.
Yeah, it's like production has things lined up. Like, so going into this week, I was like, oh, so maybe they had to stay in teams because they knew they were going into this Gladiator challenge, which in hindsight, they didn't, because it could just as easily have been an individual challenge and it would have been more compelling. But I'm like, maybe they just have these things lined up that they thought had to be team challenges, and that's why they're sticking to this format. I don't know. But yeah, I don't agree. I understand that they've lost their whole team and that maybe is like a natural consequence. I don't agree with it. I think it's lame and makes the season less interesting.
Definitely. You did also, we brushed over it, the moment after the men's heat where Cory and Derrick are going at it. And Cory's just heated after the daily challenge because Cory's just perpetually mad at the house and his spot in the game. And he's going to be vocal about it. Good, be vocal. It's better TV.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I want people to care when they lose and when they win. Like, I think, and Cory really easily, like, he clearly knows he's on the outs of all these alliances and these big moving parts. And so, he's a competitor. So he's going to get worked up about this stuff. And good. It's more interesting when everyone's invested.
Yeah, the people who just lie down and just like, oh, well, I guess it's my fate in the game. That's boring. Cory's not going to be boring about it. He's like, no, I'm gonna keep punching. I'm gonna play the underdog role. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win. Derrick though curses him out, type stuff. We talked about in this podcast. There's some bad blood there between them. And Cory, when he walks away from Derrick, Derrick throws his life vest or like safety vest from the daily challenge at Cory behind his back. And Cory doesn't even honestly react to it, really.
No, just like literally waves his hand. Yeah, Derrick set himself up in that argument because Cory was definitely taking it easy on him. I'm glad we had the moment again. Like, it laid a foundation for stuff later to come in the episode, and maybe a grudge that we'll see play out even further into the future. But yeah.
Era 4 wins. Theo and Jenny in power. Come out of this with Cory and Averey as, what do you want to know?
Well, before we move on from the daily challenge, I don't remember who said it, but at some point someone said something about like Gladiator, like referencing that like needing your teammates to be able to win. Like that, was it Kara when she was needing?
Yeah.
She was like talking about how like you in the movie Gladiator, like you need a team, and I was like, someone has not seen Gladiator, because that is definitely not what this is about.
I'm like, is that part of the thing of the second Gladiator? I was thinking to myself, like, that has to be the plot of that. I haven't, because I know there's like multiple people in this new one type thing.
I haven't seen a trailer yet, so.
Okay.
Anyway.
Daily challenge. Daily challenge over. Theo and Jenny win. Cory and Averey are the targets, and Derrick and Carmaria are the potential other targets.
Yeah.
Leads to some interesting moments where Derrick comes back to the house and he's talking to Ryan almost. He's like, well, I'm not going to say anything negative about Averey to throw her under the bus, but I'm going to look out for myself. Averey's kind of like, we even see her in the Deliberation later be like, well, I did kind of throw my game on the line for you. Why don't you step up here?
I hear that. I also think there's a difference doing it very early on in the game and doing it while you're getting closer to the midway point. Just the caliber of people that you're going up against has changed a lot. And you chose to do that. No one made you. Also, it's a good look for you, and maybe it would be heroic for him. But I'm not going to take points away from Derrick. Also, because he's tied to Cara Maria, so he's can't drag her along with him. That's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look out for yourself in this game. That's what it comes down to. What Averey did for Derrick is honorable, and I think it showed that she's not the scared player that she was in All Stars 4, but thinking that he'd step up here, just naive.
No. Yeah. It would be stupid.
Just like it was a little bit naive to self-nominate last week and not the week before when Tina was the target. So.
Yeah. Gotta be thinking a few steps ahead.
Want to just jump straight to the Deliberation?
Yeah.
Go to the Deliberation, and it's pretty clear that Cory and Averey are the more likely targets in this scenario, especially after that daily challenge where, I mean, you had Cory cursing out Era for fighting with Theo and, that daily. Jenny's also already voted him in before, painting like marks on the wall. But what things are interesting is they ask Era 1 who they want to face, and Derrick says, well, Rachel's my teammate, and I think her better chance of staying is by facing Averey.
And it was just a really interesting sidestep to say, like, I will be going against you, but I think he didn't want to acknowledge that there's a good chance he was going to lose to Cory. But, like, I think Derrick knew no matter what, there was a good chance he's going to lose because of the shape he's in at this point. So he'd rather go out, like, kind of like a hero. And I don't know, it's interesting. Was it like a protective move so Rachel doesn't have to, like, say anything directly so she can keep kind of playing this laid back game that she's playing at this point? But Cory didn't take it too kindly.
No, Cory's on straight up attack mode. He's all like, that means you're facing me in this moment. And he's like, I'm a strong player in this game. If you want to win this, you should align yourself with strong players. And Cory is just very to the point in the season. It's like, that's a threat. I'm going after you. He's going after everyone at this point, honestly. There's nobody in the house that Cory isn't going after except for Nehemiah. Which is, it's so funny when they bring up, it's like, yep, that's the only guy I got in this house.
He's ready to go out guns blazing at this point. I think it's interesting because Era 3 and 4 have really been playing this, like, they've been trying to say they have each other's backs, but it's like not fully there. But Theo and Jenny, like we said earlier, being the two players on the outs, have to do what's best for their individual games. And it makes a lot more sense to have, even if it's just Cara Maria on your side, like Cara Maria, but Derrick is so socially connected too. Like, they're two players that are more valuable in terms of an alliance at this point.
For sure. I did like Cory in the scene a lot, though. And I did something we've talked about, I think, in previous seasons, where sometimes someone comes into Deliberation or these like fight moments, and if they just look good, it really wins them a lot of points. Like when Nany had her fight with Cam years ago, and she had that red dress on, and I'm like, well, she's making some good points because she looks great in that red dress. When Cory was talking shit to Derrick, his arms were just out, and they were jacked as shit, and I'm like, I don't want to face that dude in elimination. I don't want to face that guy in a pole run, anything physical at least, because Cory's looking good, and I think like there was a false, like, people called Cory popcorn muscles for years, and I think he was that guy. I don't think he's that guy anymore. He carries himself with a level of confidence that I think he's like, okay, this guy can actually like take down a lot of people in eliminations as like kind of like just like a heavy hitter type player.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's got between just maybe more confidence and more to play for at this point, like the chip on his shoulder is doing a lot for him. And like you said, physically, he seems to be in great shape. I mean, he proved that in the daily challenge too. This was Cory's episode.
Yeah, and Air One, I mean, they're gonna get what they want. Theo and Jenny know it's gonna be Cory and Averey, but they go back to their team and they have like a team meeting type situation where they talk about who should they stay, who should go in. Michelle tries to stick up for Era 3 because she has her relationship with Devin, but also because she's aligned with those players. And Michelle does bring up some good. It's one of those interesting things because she's obviously making this campaign because of Devin, but at the same time she did make some good points where she's like, well, our two teams can consolidate everything. When Era 3 wins, we actually have a potential, like we are safe sometimes, but when Era 2 wins, we're never safe, which it's a pretty good point to make.
She was exactly right. Like, they're gonna be on the bottom of the totem pole for Era 2 every time, no matter what. Kylan was on the same page as her. I think it's also like talking about stronger allies. Era 3 and 4 are basically trading back and forth at this point. Like, it makes perfect sense. It was an illuminating moment. Really, all of us already knew this about Casey and Josh, like, who have these quote unquote allies on Era 3, their vacation alliance, and that they weren't willing to put their necks out on the line because Theo and Jenny were trying to set everyone up and you just let them succeed. Because if Casey and Josh had flipped the vote and said, no, like, we want Era 3 safe, we want to send Era 2 in, there's a good chance Theo and Jenny were still going to send in Cory and Averey, and then they have all the blood on their hands. But now they just end up looking stupid and untrustworthy.
Exactly. I mean, brilliant move by Theo and Jenny. I mean, even people who knew it was in their hands, like, they put blood on the rest of their team. And then Theo and Jenny, they went up to Cory and Averey and gave them the news of, hey, you're the one going in. And last week we kind of lambasted Jordan and Naya for doing that with Tina because, like, well, Tina's just going to come back and curse you out. Just tell her at the arena. Doing it this way, though, and telling them, like, it was a 5-2 vote, great drama. Because Cory comes at Josh hot, and he's cursing him out because, like, obviously Josh already voted him in before. He's all like, you're fake, you're not a good friend, you and Casey could have easily flipped it if you're 2 votes. You guys don't actually care about me, you're not real friends. And I love that Cory is actually taking pause and letting Josh, like, give Josh time to respond, and Josh yells, you got to give me time to talk. And he's like, he's totally giving you time to talk. You're backed in a corner and you don't know what to say.
Yeah. He's 100% right. There's nothing you can say in this moment to to correct him because he is right. Casey does what Casey does and just fades into the background and decides not to engage. It was stupid. It was a stupid move on Josh's part because I think he's already an easy target, and he just made himself an easier one for everyone, because now Devin and Tori aren't trusting you, and they were people that were kind of on your side. Even the people who may have considered aligning with you see how untrustworthy you are. You're not willing to put your neck out on the line for people you're actually friends or aligned with. Not a good look.
Yeah, Devin and Tori are sniffing them out as these aren't our friends anymore type thing. That's not a great look. And this would have been an easy way for Josh to make amends with the way he voted in Cory just a couple of weeks ago. If he had just saved him here, then Cory probably would have just let water go under the bridge, at least been hey, here's, we could maybe work together. Instead, no, he's just burying himself deeper and deeper. You mentioned Casey is melting in the background. At the beginning of the episode, Casey was very much shitting on Jenny's political game and her social games. You don't make connections with anyone. You don't play the game really well. And here, Jenny's just really outplayed Casey.
Yeah, I don't know that Casey has a huge game. I think Casey just naturally gets along with people.
Mm-hmm.
You can call it a social game because the social relationships are naturally a part of the game, but I don't think she's making some huge effort to build relationships with people across the board. I think people just kind of gravitate towards her because they like her because she's chill. And I think she needs to pause before she's overconfident in that area of the game, because people are also seeing through it, and that it's a very surface level friendship.
Yeah, and it's the rope is kind of becoming a little bit thin with her, especially. I get so annoyed when Casey's on my screen at this point. I rank her really highly as a player all time, but she just really brings something to the show. And when she does come on screen, she's hating on other strong people or diminishing other people. Or just telling people, hey, you should probably be boring instead of entertaining. Just be boring like me. I'm over her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you're wrong. She's never gonna bring anything, especially I think the most interesting thing she brought when she first came on was everyone wanted her.
Yeah.
And there was that romantic aspect, and now she's off the market. So it's what's the point?
Nani just had surgery, right? Is that a thing? Did she just have surgery in Thailand?
Oh, I honestly don't know.
Okay.
It's been a busy few weeks over
Okay.
This is what we need Luke for. Luke.
Yeah, no, this is exactly what Luke is on top of. Now, elimination time?
Yeah.
All right, elimination. Get to the arena. It's obviously going to be Cory versus Derrick and Rachel versus Averey. We mentioned it before. This elimination is a boxing elimination where one player will be blindfolded, and they have to attempt to punch off 20 targets on their opponent's body. And these little targets emit pink and
they were heads of garlic filled with
pink and purple paint.
Yeah, the color runs.
Yeah.
One that kind of powder. But they absolutely looked like heads of garlic when they first stepped out in those.
And they were really easy to break too.
Yeah. It was fairly cloth.
Yeah, and the players who are not blindfolded, on top of wearing all the equipment of garlic to get hit off, they wear these giant rubber chicken shoes that squeak. They're filled with bells so that they make a bunch of noise so the people who are blind can kind of be aware of where they are throughout the ring. It's a creative and fun elimination.
I like it a lot. I hope they bring it back. It was silly to watch, and just the idea of them with squeaky shoes and bells and blindfolded, it has all the things, because we did also get to see some athleticism and strategy, but I want to laugh every once in a while at this stuff, and this I thought it was a pretty perfect elimination, honestly.
It's silly and it's physical, and there's some strategy aspects to it. It checks a lot of boxes in what you want in elimination. There was one big flaw, in my opinion, and it's whoever was the first person on defense, which was Averey, really kind of got fucked over in this because everyone else got to watch her play and learn from her mistakes.
But also, what was her strategy going?
None. No. Zero. Because I'll say this too. Rachel can really fucking punch because Rachel got like even with Averey wearing headgear, Rachel got some clean punches square in Averey's head, and I'm pretty sure she was like maybe concussed at some point during this elimination.
She was definitely dazed. I was waiting for like an actual knockout. I it felt like I've watched like UFC fights where someone is just teeing off on someone, and I was like, those people can see. Rachel was doing it blindfolded.
It was ridiculous too because at a certain point there was just no target that Rachel was even going for. She was just kind of clobbering on Averey's head and like really just she was beating the shit out of her.
I am glad that we didn't get too much like Jordan in during this elimination because I know he was just fuming from wherever he was watching. Because like I figured, okay, you found out pretty quickly that she's gonna be able to find you with the noise. But why would you just stand still and let her punch you in the face over and over and over again? I'm honestly genuinely impressed she didn't get knocked out.
Yeah, the rules of the elimination were unclear at times too because I was like, some people were almost blocking with their hands, but Averey wasn't blocking, and I'm just like, I mean, at one point, we'll just talk about the women's round right now. But yeah, Rachel, really good punches, really like borderline like just teeing off on Averey. And by the time Averey had to play offense, I mean, her body had to hurt massively, which also we have to know kudos to Rachel and her cardio and endurance because even after throwing all those punches, she's sprinting all around the arena. It looks like she could have gone for 12 rounds. Like Rachel also saw what Averey was doing wrong and then improved upon it because
yeah, every mistake Averey made, Rachel didn't. I think it just showed just how far apart these two competitors are in terms of abilities across the board. But yeah, no, this one wasn't close.
and I've always thought Averey was like a really scrappy competitor. And I always thought she was a really scrappy, just human. And now I'm just thinking, I'm like, all right, I don't know about that anymore, or at least, or just Rachel built different.
Yeah, or like the moment became too big. Like I don't know what it was. Or she like got psyched out going in, knowing she was going against Rachel. I don't know. I think Rachel is that much better than Averey. Truly, I think that is the case, and especially just with confidence being a factor. But damn, that one I intend to rewatch it because I don't know if, like watching like just the shock and discomfort on everyone else's faces during it was, I don't know, it felt kind of wrong to be laughing because I really was like worried about her. But yikes.
Because Rachel does not come from the era of like eliminations, like I think technically Averey might have had more elimination wins than Rachel before this elimination, which is just Averey was not on many seasons of this show. I mean, this is really basically her second one ever. So neither really had much experience in anything like this, and Rachel proved that she, you know, if you gave her a headbanger 20 years ago, probably just as scary of an outcome. So
Yeah. We were actually robbed of that, I feel like.
before the elimination too, Rachel mentioned that she's a black belt in karate. So 3-sport high school athlete, black belt in karate, proven to be real good at all these sports though.
Absolute fitness junkie, like, yeah.
Men's heat goes, and Cory gets to go first, which I think, as we've seen, like I think going first was a definitive advantage.
Yeah.
Cory, I think, played this like a boxer in that he got Derrick cornered, and once he started throwing punches, Cory was throwing like actual body, like chest blows, like an actual boxer would at like a rapid rate. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I think Cory was eager to work out some of that aggression that he had on Derrick, and I think even at certain points, Cory forgot about strategy and just was like letting his fists fly. Um, I thought Derrick actually did much better than I expected him to, considering how hobbled he was.
So their round, so in the Rachel Averey round, Rachel wins where she got every single target of Averey's. Averey got 10 of the 16 targets, but as we noted, like it was actually pretty easy to get the targets in this elimination because they were coming off so easy. Cory and Derrick both knocked off all their targets of each other's. Cory, we're gonna say this right here. Cory wins the elimination.
Yeah.
And I think it's based on the way this is edited and stuff like that. I think Cory got all those targets really fast.
Yeah.
Like even though they kept going for the full time, I think in that initial like body blow type stuff, I think Cory basically almost got all of them.
Yeah.
And that was the difference and maybe why the elimination played out the way it did. Because even on the defensive end, Cory wasn't really moving around too much or as much as I expected.
Yeah, I think it was just masterful editing or like a misdirection in editing, because I felt like when I was watching Cory, I was like, I feel like he's already got all of them. But whatever. And then when Derrick was going, they were definitely like building up to this moment of like, is he going to do it? Is he going to get all of them? And so I guess the like intention behind not announcing how many targets they got when they were done. It was, as I was watching it, it felt like fishy editing, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but I did feel like Cory won.
And I do think Derrick actually did do very impressively considering his injury.
Yeah.
Derrick was not boxing in this elimination. That was not his strategy. His strategy was I'm going to leap at Cory and just drag my boxing gloves across his body and try and hold him down and just we're not boxing. We're just throwing our body as many times as we can at him, especially because if we try to box, he's just going to evade me. So we're just going to jump on him every chance we get.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did the best he could in the circumstances.
Yeah, people always talk about Derrick's toughness. I actually think he's a really good, clever elimination player because if you watch that elimination with him and Joss, yes, he spent all those rounds going with him, but I broke it down shot by shot. And when I rewatched it, something I noticed was that every time Joss was about to win, Derrick would kind of just roll his feet into the out of bounds zone so that TJ would have to do a restart. And he just did it round after round after round, where every time Joss was like a second away from winning, he just hit like restart button, and like Derrick does clever stuff like that in eliminations, and he tried to do it here too. Cory just beat him.
Yeah, I think it would have been a major upset had Derrick won, with all the factors combined. Just like last week though, like I think it's better for the story moving forward having Cory here. Although it's now leaving us in a really strange situation with Era 1.
Jump right into it. New targets. For once, Era 1 doesn't get picked first. It's Era 4. But as we know, we can't really pick anyone. Cory nominates
Casey.
For the women. Yeah, he nominates. Casey self-nominates?
Casey, yeah. I think everybody did except for 2.
Yeah, and Cory picked Laurel over Aviv, which that's like a line in the sand moment of Cory's essentially saying, "I'm Team Cara Maria here."
Yeah, or I just don't fuck with you.
Yeah, or I don't fuck with you, or I'm Team Darrell, because if you listen to that Darrell interview talking about like what Laurel was doing to him in the house.
Yeah, if you haven't watched that, I think it's Sydney Boxbaum from Entertainment Weekly has been interviewing a lot of people, and her interview with them is on TikTok and wherever. But go watch that, because if you aren't already a Laurel hater, you will become one after listening to Darrell talk about her behavior.
So he nominates Laurel, and then Era 3, Tori self-nominates. Tori self-nominates in part because Devin is, Devin takes the nomination.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the rotation type thing. Era 4, Kylan self-nominates again.
What is up with him self-nominating all the time? I'm getting frustrated. As someone that drafted him, I'm getting really frustrated that he keeps putting himself in the line of fire.
Something like, kind of like a bad thing for Kylan is that, I forgot who it was that got eliminated. It was the week that Kylan and Olivia nominated them for elimination. Um, they talked about how they knew they were the one going into Emily Scrum. She's like, Kylan and Olivia, they dressed up all super nice the night of like the nomination dinner, and they tried to have their moment where they pull us aside and act as if they don't know who's going to be going into elimination, but they knew they were going in regardless. And that to me is like, yeah, Kylan maybe is playing a little bit of a moment for TV right now.
Well, and after I said it, I was like, maybe he just knew that Rachel wasn't going to pick Josh because there's like an actual friendship there, and Theo's not on the table, so he just, yeah.
That's a good point. And then era 2, Ryan self-nominates, but I did love that he self-nominated after Laurel's been nominated because he knows that Laurel isn't going to throw the daily challenge now. Except, I wouldn't put it past Laurel to throw it to put Ryan in and her being confident
herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a risky move, knowing that the other women are Rachel, Tori, and Casey.
And yeah, Rachel, Tori, and Casey, and it's Rachel with no male nomination for Era 1 because we're going to let Rachel compete as a solo person in the next daily challenge.
What is going on? When are they going to mix it up? Like, this has to be, next week has to be the last week of teams, right? Like, it has to.
Okay, we got one person on Era 1. We got 7 people on Era 2, so that's 8. 5 on Era 3, so that's 13, and then 7 on. So we're down. We got 10, and 10. Just like make this individual now. Make this pairs. I was really hoping when TJ said Cory, like pick a target, I thought he was gonna say Cory, pick a partner.
Or pick a new team, and we're splitting into 2 teams, like something. Like we're mixing it up. I thought, I thought they would have more of an advantage with moving forward in the game, more than just premier tickets to Gladiator 2. Like I thought something else was gonna happen.
Nope. It is interesting though, because if Rachel wins the daily challenge next week, I wonder what's going to happen to, like, well, I guess she would have the unanimous power regardless. I don't know what's going to happen for the men in this game though, if Rachel comes in last place in the daily challenge actually, because then we have a winner, and then I guess if Rachel wins, the other 2 men just automatically go into elimination who don't win.
Well, I think the more interesting thing is Rachel not winning and not losing, because the team that wins, then I'm guessing has power to they could potentially put Rachel in and a man of their choosing, I would guess.
I just hope there's no point in this game where we have just uneven numbers now of like not even a split and we get some weird. I don't know. I can't believe they're letting the game go on this way.
I think it's what's hurting the show the most at this point, that they're letting this go on this long. Maybe they just really didn't anticipate it going this way, but like whatever, it's your job to figure it out, so figure it out.
I will say I've seen some people complaining about like the whole targeting twist and how it's let a lot of people skate by, which I kind of agree with, but also I think that we've seen Tori, Bananas, like Jordan be like Laurel be on the line for potential eliminations. They definitely wouldn't have, or like had to like win the daily challenge and gain power in ways like they wouldn't have in any other format where they could have just dominated with their vacation alliance type numbers or their big numbers. I think we've seen much more interesting gameplay this season. It just Era 1 keeps losing all the challenges. I think that's really been the fault.
Yeah.
Anything else we got to talk about?
I don't think so. Looking ahead to next week, I think we see Laurel not win, but that was about it.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a daily challenge where they're going to have to all like they're on these cargo tankers where they're holding on to like a rock climbing set like pegs, and whoever stays up the longest maybe will win. Which I think Rachel would have a good shot to win that solo.
That's what I was gonna say. It really, if there is a solo challenge Rachel could win, I think it's this one.
Especially if it's like based on average time, like for sure.
Yeah, totally. Average time would be the way to go for this one. Production, hope you're listening.
That's gonna be a fun daily challenge. Luke will be back with us. I will be recording that podcast for the first time in Arizona because I'm moving to Arizona next week. So if you live in Arizona, you want to buy me dinner, please buy me dinner. You have any furniture you want to throw away? Bring it to my place. I got no furniture in the apartment yet, so we're gonna figure it out. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, iTunes, wherever you find us. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye now.